Hello, today we are going to use the KDE Kate advanced text editor and program for the programming language Perl using the Perl language server from Richterger. So this is the GitHub project. This is the cpan page. Let's install KDE Kate. This is the Linux operating system Fedora 40. And then let's install the Perl language server. And then let's use Kate on a real-world Perl source code base. So first of all, we need the console. We'll want to become super user. We want to install Kate and uninstall kwrite. Yes once. Yes twice. Okay. Next up, we want to install the language server. It has instructions on how to install for the Debian family and for the Fedora family. We'll use these instructions. Let's have side by side the work, which is the console, Ctrl-Shift-D. We'll have a tab where we're not elevated, so we're using the local normal Linux user, which is named administrator. The second tab where we're elevated as the user root, and documentation on the right half of the screen in the web browser. So we need to be root, and it says yum install and then a list of packages. Yum is still available in Fedora 40, so we can do that. Many hundreds of Perl RPMs will be installed. Is this okay? Yes. So 221 RPM packages to download and install. And then the instructions say that it's easier if you use cpan into /usr/local, which requires you to be super user. I'm not going to actually. So we've installed the RPM packages that we can install. Now we're going to install the rest of the packages from cpan. Let's not install them per machine, but per user. So in the first tab in the console, we go paste once. In here, it tells me that it cannot install in /usr/local, right? Because I'm not the user root. And it's going to install in ~/perl5. And I could either run as root. I do not want to do that. First option, in order to not have this warning. Or I could have this environment variable. Or whenever I want in my shell, I can run this command. And then from then on, in that shell instance, the ~/Perl file will be available in the search path. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to run this command line a ton of times. Let's start Kate. I do not want the welcome page. Settings, configure Kate, welcome, show welcome view for new windows. OK. Control V. Okay, one of the package and its dependencies was installed. The same for the rest of them. This one takes a while to install because it's probably testing. tens of cpan packages will be installed. Okay. The next one. And the last one. Okay, and the last package from cpan is installed. Next up, we'll need to git clone a KDE Git repository. So we're going to use kdsrc-build, which is written in Perl. But we do not yet have the git rpm packages installed. So let's do that. dnf install git k git GUI. Yes. Let's copy the git clone HTTPS URL. Let's create a directory. Git clone, Ctrl-Shift-V, cd tab. And now we're inside the Git repository that looks like this. All of the source code is Perl. The entry point is this executable file kdsrc-build, which is also written in Perl. So let's get this magic invocation. Paste. Okay. And now we can start Kate, the text editor, in this directory. So Kate and then dot for the current directory. Okay, when we navigate to the entry point file, which is kdsrc-build, it asks if Kate is allowed to start the language server protocol and DAP protocol server, which is per language server. Let's select all and copy. New, Ctrl-V. And let's see if this language server runs correctly. Or if it outputs an error to stdout or stdr to these standard streams. So it seems to be running, doesn't seem to encounter any errors. Ctrl-C to close it. And now we're ready to allow Kate to start the language server protocol. Yes. Okay. And now let's see why we actually started the Perl language server protocol if we did not first enable enough Perl plugins. So we go inside of the Kate main menu, settings, configure Kate, plugins, and let's enable in here some of the things that we need. So we have LSP language server protocol. We're going to need Kate debugger, symbol viewer. What else seems to be related to DAP and LSP? So that's it. I have project plugin, LSP client, Kate debugger, and symbol viewer. Okay. I'm not sure if plugins load automatically. I can see they are loaded because I can see in here a tool window from the Kate debugger, Kate plugin. In here in the main toolbar, the buttons from the toolbar from the Kate Debugger Kit plugin. So hopefully the add-ins have been enabled. Otherwise, you just close Kate and reopen it. Okay. So we go to KDE src-build, which is the entry point. Let's look at all of the tool windows. The first one is the documents. We've opened the entire KDE src-build directory. Next up is the Kate project plugin. Next up is the tool window for symbol outline. It doesn't recognize yet the symbols. Then the symbol list. We have this additional tool window for the debugger, which is local and global variables and the call stack with threads. There's the debug tool window. Let's configure it correctly. So settings, not the GDB, but the debug adapter protocol per language server, this guy. Executable, the entry point file is fine. Arguments, this should be in this case initial setup, the only command line argument. Okay, next. We can start the debugger, which is this button. It's on line 44, so it stops on attach, on start. And then we can use the buttons in the main toolbar. Step in F10, step over F9, step out Shift F10, continue Control F7. Breakpoints with Shift F11. And then we have similar buttons in the debug tool window. We are going to go step over, step over. Okay, let's inspect the variable setup steps, this guy, in the locals and stack tool window. So it's this. It's an array with two elements, a list. We have the call stack, just one thread, thread 17 single, and two call stack items in the stack. So lines 94 and line 88. Okay, what else do we have? This is the terminal. Nothing interesting is happening in here. In project, we do not have anything interesting. In search, we're not searching. No diagnostics. In output, we have the output from the language server protocol. Not much, but we can see that it has been started correctly. It's being told files, directories, the configuration of the current project. And then there's also a Visual Studio Code config file. Okay, so we're in here, line 94. Let's go step over. Step over, we can see how it includes files we can step into. Okay. We can step into our own Perl source code in where we use a module that we have declared. So step over, we're in the standard library from Perl. Let's go step out. And we're going to step into all of these because these modules, these files are our source code. So let's go step in. We're inside KSB build exception PM. Step over. Step out. Okay, and now we're back at line 15 in first run.pm. Let's step over these things. Okay, this is the next function that we care about. We'll need to put a breakpoint there. So it's install system packages in here. We need to toggle the breakpoint, but for that we need the debugger to be running. So let's stop the debugger. Start the debugger. Toggle the breakpoints. So one here. Where else? This guy. Okay. And continue. Okay, we do not exactly see where the breakpoints are, but we know they're here. Install system packages and one of these three with packages for vendor. Step over. So we have three local variables. I'm not sure why this tool window does not work. So I collapsed it and reopened it, and now it is showing correctly. Maybe there's some painting issue. So in here, the function install system packages is called. This is where we are inside the install system packages function. Local variables, global variables, specials, and arguments. Back to locals. Let's see what colorize is. Step in. So colorize is a function that does something. Step over. So str is this string installing system packages for Fedora and then 3 dots. Step over. It should have printed installing system packages. Let's see where the output is. Output. Not in here. There was this setting to redirect I/O and keep focus. Okay, step over, step in. Let's look at some additional functionality that we have. So there's control click to navigate, and then go back is go to previous location control 1 instead of alt left as in web browsers. Then we have debug, insert breakpoint, run to cursor, move PC. So this run to cursor is a brother of this one, which is restart debugging. For the LSP client, we have search and go to symbol, which opens the search global search box. Looks like this. So we want to go set up user system. This guy. What else do we have in there? Control click on constructors. Goes to the correct place. What are these? The definition of new. So this is find occurrences. File PM. So it should have gone to the constructor of OS support. And instead it went to file constructor. Okay, what else do we have? Format using LSP. The LSP server maintenance. I do not know how to show hover information, although it's enabled in here. If I click and hover, nothing happens. If I just hover, nothing happens. Okay, back to where we were. In here, so we need to click on the second entry in the core stack and then in the newest entry in the core stack to get back to where we were. Okay, so we have the debug button direction, so step into over out, continue and restart, run to cursor. When the debugger is stopped, let's stop it. Kill stop debugging, Alt F7 from the debug tool window or from the Kate main menu debug and then kill stop debugging. Let's see what features. So this time we have 0 features from the DAP, debug adapter protocol, because the debugger is not actually running. Let's see some of the features from the language server protocol. So we have symbols twice, once in the symbol outline, once in the symbol list tool windows. Go to definition. Throw is actually a method in first run. When there's ambiguities, you get these alternatives, one function and the other. Make exception. Cannot navigate modules. Can navigate functions that are imported from modules. Feature import. Which feature is what? Mojo modules are strict. Probably this guy. Okay, correct syntax highlighting maybe is not from the LSP, maybe it is. Let's break the format and see if we can get code formatting. How do we do that? LSP client format does not support such a thing. Probably the LSP client does not have all of the possible features. Okay. And this should be it. There's a ton of functionality inside of Kate. Some it's available as Kate plugins, which maybe are not enabled by default in your configuration. So do make sure that you have at least the plugins KDebugger, LSP client and projects plugin and symbol viewer. There's additional settings for the LSP client and for the debugger. You configure the debug settings for the current project that you have open in Kate using the debug tool window and then settings, where you set up the executable, which is the entry point. If this is, as in my case, a Perl file that's just chmoded to be executable, then that's okay. And then the rest of the command line. You need to select in here the correct DAP, debug adapter protocol provider that you want. These are the debugger buttons. These are the debugger buttons. These are the debugger buttons. This also comes from the debug adapter protocol. Plugin, local stack, globals, arguments, etc. Threads. So quite a impressive number of features, at least for the programming language Perl. The thing that I would probably change if I want to use this often is to actually change the keyboard shortcuts. So you can do that by going to the Kate main menu and then configure keyboard shortcuts. And let's see what I do. Step over. In my case, this should be F10, similar to Visual Studio Code. Okay. Back to where we were. There's no apply button, just an OK button. Okay. At Manage Schemes, you can create a your own keyboard shortcut schemes. What else? Step in. That's F11. Let's see the steps. So step in F11, step over F10, step out would be Shift F11. What else? I want the back action. Let's see that thing. So go previous location. Go to previous location. This thing should be Alt left. And go to the other location. Next location should be Alt right. Okay. Then Control W already works to close the tabs. Control Shift F to search globally works. Control Shift H does not work because that's replace in files. It's fine in files. Control Shift F. Okay, it's okay like this. Okay. So back to the debugger. Start. Debug session is in course. Let's stop it. Start the debugger. It got confused somehow. Where are we? In here. How do we change? Sure, let's go step over. Okay, let's see if the keyboard shortcuts have been applied. F11, Shift F11, F10. Okay, then seems to work okay. Shift F11, Shift F11. So Shift F11 did not do what it should. Sometimes the keyboard shortcuts that we configure might not work, so you'll need to, I know, assign it again or make sure that the conflicting pre-existing Shift F11 keyboard shortcut is not enforced. And I do not know how to search by shortcuts. Just select to sort by shortcut and go to what? This guy, Shift F11. I don't see this working, so it's working just for each of these groups from what I see. So Shift and then it starts again from A and then A. So I do not know how to search for Shift F11. Like this, you just write Shift. Okay. I do not see any conflicting shortcut for Shift F11, anything except step out. So maybe that's not the explanation why the debugger just ran instead of exiting the setup user system, whatever, the first run.pm module. So this is it. Very promising. Kate plus the Perl programming language plus the two protocols from Microsoft, DAP and LSP, and the plugin from Richterger Perl language server with this cpan module. Thank you.